Hey Desmos, Benjie here, and I'm excited to show you my favorite part of Desmos, which is part of the activity builder, and it's the ability to monitor student progress as they go. So what I have here is the teacher dashboard, as though there were an activity in progress. This happens to be a card sort that I built with a colleague of mine, and I ran it recently in a 7th grade math class in which students had to match graphs with tables and stories that all depicted the same situation. And so as students are making their way through the activity, you can monitor their progress here. For instance, it looks like Julia and Kasha both completed the card sort and were successful. It looks like Lucas and Annika are in the middle of doing their card sort. So let's check in on them. Okay, so we can see as these students are working through the card sort, we can see their progress, and we can see that they've experienced a lot of success. It does appear that there may be some misconception about what's going on in this graph, this table, and this story. The fact that this is red means that it isn't the case that all three of these depict the same situation. So maybe I should head over to those students and give them some really timely feedback, or maybe ask them some probing questions that might help them realize that they've made a mistake and to grow and learn from that mistake. So one thing I really love about Desmos is the ability to monitor student progress live as it happens to give that timely feedback. I also really like this as an ability to see some student work that I think is really exciting and then display that student work to the whole class to talk about. Now you can do this for a variety of reasons. Maybe I see a graph that I think is really phenomenal and I want to display it for all students to see, and we can comment on why we think this is some great work. And you can choose to do this publicly for Julia and Kasha, or you can choose to anonymize the names, which I really like to do. Of course, students love to see their work up on the board, but it may also make them more comfortable to have their name anonymized. So hey, Fibonacci, sounds great. We will display Leonardo Fibonacci's work. What I also really like about this anonymizing feature and how that works with looking at student work as they go is one thing I really like to work on in my classes is learning to celebrate mistakes as part of the learning process. And what I often really like to do is to display student work that may not be 100% accurate and ask students to find truth in that student's work. And then that student can get that immediate feedback, also that affirmation of other students finding truth in their work, all while it's anonymous. So for instance, for Lucas and Annika, I might anonymize them, Felix Hausdorff now, and I'll display their work and I'll say, all right, class, and I might zoom in on these cards, perhaps these cards, and I'll say, all right, class, here's the story that I see. Opposite Tom's home is a hill. Tom climbed slowly up the hill, walked across the top, and then ran quickly down the other side. Now, it seems to me that Desmos thinks this isn't a correct matching. Why might this student have thought that? Can we find some truth here and say maybe, well, if we changed the labeling of the axes to maybe height off the ground, this would make a lot of sense. So it's a way for students to really think deeply about the material, celebrate a student even though they may have made a mistake, give that student the feedback to go and correct that mistake, all while their name is anonymized. So those are my favorite parts of Desmos. Thanks so much for taking the time to hear about it.